Samantha Chapter 4. By next Tuesday afternoon, Samantha's sampler read, "Actions speak louder than." The sewing hour was almost over when there was a gentle knock on the parlor door. "Come in," said Grandmary, and Jessie came in dressed to leave for home. She curtsied quickly and waited for Grandmary to speak. Samantha thought Jessie always looked elegant. She was so tall and held her head so high. Jessie looked especially grand today. She was wearing a light brown summer coat that matched the color of her skin, but Samantha wondered why she was leaving so early. "Yes, Jessie?" questioned Grandmary. "Ma'am, I've just come to say I won't be coming back after today," Jessie said. Samantha almost jumped out of her chair. "Jessie, why?" she asked. Grandmary silenced her with a look that said children should be seen and not heard. She spoke to Jessie. "Very well, Jessie, I'd like to thank you for your service. You've been a great help and a pleasure to us. We shall miss you very much." Samantha was horrified. What was Grandmary saying? How could she just let Jessie go away like that? "You can see Hawkins for your pay," continued Grandmary. "There will be a bonus for you." Jessie curtsied again. "Thank you, ma'am." Before she left, she stopped to smile at Samantha. "Be very good, Miss Samantha. You know I'll miss you." Samantha was too stunned to answer. She watched Jessie go. Then her words rushed out. "Grandmary, why is Jessie leaving, and why did you let her?" Grandmary's eyes never moved from the lacework in her hands. "Please sit down, Samantha," she said. "A young lady must not ask questions of her elders. This is Jessie's business." Samantha sat down, but she could only fidget with her sewing. It seemed as if every stitch she put in her sampler had to be pulled out again. She didn't understand. Why would Jessie leave without explaining? At last the sewing hour was over. Samantha curtsied quickly when Grandmary excused her. Then she rushed out of the parlor to find Mrs. Hawkins, the cook. There was never any problem finding Mrs. Hawkins. She was always in the kitchen, and the kitchen was always filled with the wonderful smells of Mrs. Hawkins' cooking. Today she stood by the big wooden table in the center of the room, rolling pastry for meat pie. She wasn't surprised to see Samantha. The kitchen was one of Samantha's favorite places. She came there often to talk to and eat treats Mrs. Hawkins saved for her. "Hello, love," Miss Hawkins said. "Why are you rushing so? Sit down now and tell me what's the matter. You look like thunder." Samantha flopped herself down on a chair. "Jessie's gone away," she said. "Yes, dear, I know." Mrs. Hawkins knew? Everybody knew but Samantha? She brushed away a fly that buzzed in from the open window. "But why?" she asked. "Grandmary didn't even try to stop her." Now, love, you must not fret about it," Mrs. Hawkins said. She took an onion from a bunch hanging by the door and began to peel it. "There are some things you just don't understand. Don't you think your Grandmary knows best?" How could Samantha possibly know if Grandmary knew best? How could she know if anybody knew best? She didn't know what anybody knew. She pushed back the chair and hurried from the kitchen to the butler's pantry. She hoped Hawkins would be there, and he was. Hawkins was whistling softly and polishing silver. He pulled out a chair for Samantha. He was used to her popping up in strange places. They had their best talks when Samantha followed him around on his job, waxing furniture, beating the carpets, or washing the windows in Grandmary's big house. Now Hawkins handed Samantha a polishing cloth. He knew how much easier it is to talk when your hands are busy. Samantha rubbed at a sugar bowl. "Jessie's gone," she said. "I know," said Hawkins. Samantha wasn't surprised. "Nobody will tell me why," Samantha went on. Hawkins smiled and his eyes were understanding, but when he spoke, it didn't help much. "Believe me, Miss Samantha, Jessie's fine," he said. "I know it isn't easy, but sometimes when you're young, you just have to trust." Samantha didn't feel much like talking any more. She pushed back the sugar bowl and cloth, straightened her chair, and slowly left the pantry. As she shuffled past the parlor, Grandmary called, "Samantha." "Yes, ma'am." "I have been very pleased with your efforts these past weeks," Grandmary said. "If you go upstairs, you will find something on your bed." For a minute, Samantha forgot about Jessie leaving. She even forgot to say thank you as she ran up the stairs 2 at a time. Inside her room, Samantha stopped short. There, in the middle of her bed, was a doll dressed in shining blue silk. "Oh, Lydia!" Samantha whispered. She picked the doll up gently. Then she hugged her very close.